being a typical millennial, the door-to-door sales was great and rewarding and profitable, but I knew there had to be an easier way, and that's when I leaned on the internet, and I looked and kind of discovered what marketing was. I finally understood that marketing wasn't this weird thing with branding or whatever. Marketing was salesmanship multiplied, or salesmanship in print.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into crushthestreet.com. You know, we've been doing some really interesting interviews lately, talking to people who are inspirational, who understand business, who understand how to be effective in life in so many ways. And I have on the line here Casey Stanton. He was a professor of marketing at Tulane University over in Louisiana. And he's a trusted authority now, and he wrote his first book, Functional Marketing, and it's actually due out this April. So I know we're going to be able to talk a little bit about that, get to know Casey. His website is CaseyStanton.com. Casey, thanks for coming on the line with me today.
Yeah, absolutely, Kenneth. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to talking about money trends.
Well, hey, I'm looking at your website right now, and the quote is immediately catching my attention. Discover how to scale your business north of 7 figures. You're talking big there. Now, you didn't just say 6 figures. You said 7. That's in the millions. And without getting overloaded, that kind of sounds like the 4-hour work week. I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking about when I read that. But I just want to get to know you a little bit more. And you know what? Why are you so passionate about doing what you do?
Sure. So absolutely. After I graduated college in 2008 from Michigan State University, I had a bachelor's of science in environmental policy, and I thought I would go on to do some policy work or something like that. But I graduated right into the knee of that unemployment boom and the recession. So when I graduated, I saw 4.5%, 5% unemployment, and I couldn't find work. And I quickly saw that number go from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 10.5% unemployment. And it was kind of hopeless for a guy with a policy degree to find any meaningful work. And from that, I turned to lawn mowing with a guy that I used to know from the fire department. And he gave me a truck to use and some lawn mowers and leaf blowers. And I spent a summer on the back of those lawn mowers, trimming grass up in northern Michigan. And it was during that time that I knew that I needed a different kind of education. And I went to the library, I went online, I went on Amazon, and I would get audiobooks. I'd load them into my iPod, and I would listen to days and days worth of seminars and books and strategies. And during that, some of the most pivotal books that I listened to were 4-Hour Workweek from Tim Ferriss, kind of right when it came out. That was really pivotal for me. And Tony Robbins tapes and things like that to really change the way that I look at making a living, delivering value, and then getting compensated for the value that I deliver.
Wow. Well, and then tell us a little bit more about how you evolved and where you are today.
Sure. So on the lawnmower, I decided, the best thing that I could do was just take my natural, God-given abilities and go do something with those. And I've always been a bit of a techie, but my dad was in sales, and something about that felt right. I never had a problem approaching people for work. And, formerly I was even a magician, and I would work table hopping at a restaurant.
That's cool.
And it just kind of felt natural for me. So with that, I mowed a guy's lawn. He had a beautiful house. And I said, how'd you do it? I was really interested. He just seemed like a really interesting guy. And he said, well, I invented something, and then I've sold it successfully. And I said, well, show me this thing. And he showed it to me, and I got to hang out with him. And a couple weeks later, I kind of had the nerve to go up to him and say, hey, can I sell this thing? And he said, absolutely, you can. You seem like you'd be a great guy for it, but you'll need to buy some of the units yourself. I said, could you give me the units could I pay you for them after they're sold? And he said, no, I can't do that. You've got to put the money up for it. So I worked a couple more weeks mowing lawns, working a couple extra hours, and not going out to the bar, and ended up buying a few units, going then the next day door to door, and I sold more units door to door and made more money in one afternoon after mowing lawns than I did the whole week previous mowing lawns. And that was really pivotal for me. I knew that I had a talent for sales and I could do something with it.
Wow.
So being a typical millennial, the door-to-door sales was great and rewarding and profitable, but I knew there had to be an easier way. And that's when I leaned on the internet and I looked and kind of discovered what marketing was. I finally understood that marketing wasn't this weird thing with branding or whatever. Marketing was salesmanship multiplied, or salesmanship in print. Those are the words of Claude Hopkins and John E. Kennedy. And what I like about that is it says the salesperson, it gets multiplied through print, online, and that multiplication gets you in front of more people, gets more sales to happen. That was really interesting. So I went deep into the marketing field and started studying and reading and working with clients, all across northwestern lower peninsula of Michigan and then down in the Ann Arbor area. And then ultimately met a good friend of mine. His name's Mike. And Mike Klein had this business called Tech Guys Who Get Marketing, which was more of the tech side with a marketing angle. And he and I teamed up, and we've been good friends and colleagues ever since. I stepped into that organization as the chief marketing officer, and we've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of just really fantastic businesses. And I've gotten to be on the inside of them to understand how they're operating, what they're doing, what works, what doesn't work, what their marketing process and sales process and team look like, and really be able to support them. So that's how I got into a lot of this. From there, I moved to New Orleans, and in an attempt to get more education, I tried to, I considered getting an MBA. I looked at the MBA program, and I felt it to be a bit archaic. Just like we chatted about previously, Kenneth, you talked about Bitcoins on the show. I want to hear that kind of stuff at an MBA program. I want to hear about the future of where the industry is going, not the past. And I know we have to know the history so we don't repeat ourselves and repeat our mistakes. But at the same time, I want to know what's coming, because we're in the age of the microchip. We're going to be around potentially for this singularity event. There's some really neat, interesting stuff happening in the future. And if we're not on the, bleeding edge of that discovery in our education, I think we're going to be in trouble. So from that, I offered to teach a class at Tulane. They accepted me, which was absolutely wild. And for 3 years, I had, the opportunity to teach undergraduate students in the business school. I got to teach them my version of marketing, which we could talk about a bit later, but it's this holistic functional marketing approach where I say, not just does this tactic work for your business, but what's the best to grow your business? Sure. What's the right way to look at your business? Do you need marketing? Do you need sales? Do you need something else? And then helping you find the right solution based on your unique problem.
Sure. Casey, you talked about internet, resorting to the internet. And I want to ask you a little bit about that regarding organic growth, because there's a lot of businesses out there, they think, let's just go advertise on Facebook and Google. And businesses that are making $0 to even maybe $100,000 can get eaten up alive advertising, because a $2,000 budget could vanish in a matter of days and see maybe minimal to no returns. And I'm curious what your direction is for people, and what you suggest people to do when they hit the internet and they try to grow their business.
Sure, and that's really dependent on the type of business. So from a high level, there's two different types of businesses, we could say. One is a local based and the other one is a global based. So if your business is specific to a location, to a locale within 50 miles of the city center, or if you have a service-based business like window washers, who surprisingly, I worked with a client in the window washing business that has a surprisingly profitable business that's typically run by people who kind of underserve the market. They're not very professional, they're not very clean, they're not on time. So in that situation, if it's a local-based business, Google's local listing, a great Yelp listing, doing the right things on your website for the organic traffic, and really just trying to maximize the value that you provide to the community by getting in the paper and getting on TV and things like that. So that would be traditional PR. It's going to be your most effective route. I think that all local businesses should absolutely be doing those things. If you have a more national or international business, like mine, which is I live on the road. I'm currently traveling. My fiance, my dog, and I are taking 2 years to find a new home. And we are city dating, going city to city every few months. And we don't have a specific location that we work from. I work from a coffee shop. I work from a bedroom. I work from an apartment, wherever. For us, my business needs to reach out to a wider audience that's not specific to a location. And in that situation, the single most important thing is to understand who your avatar is. Who's the buying persona? Who's the person who's going to buy that you like? And I find the best way to do this is to take out a piece of paper and, an 8.5 by 11 piece of printer paper and draw a line down the middle of it and then bisect it in half. So you have 4 quadrants. And in the top left, write head, the top right, heart, bottom left, home, and then the final box, you write name. So you have head, heart, and home. And in those boxes, you detail what's in the head of your ideal customer before they work with you. What are the things that keep them up at night? What are their limiting beliefs? What are they worried about? What is the thing that just really kind of irks them when they think about it? Put that in the head. In the heart, say, what are they longing for? What do they want? What's the thing that they could if they could have anything in the world, what would it look like? Like, they want this for their life, for their family. They want this for their personal health if you're in the health industry. Write that in the heart. And then finally in the home, write specific to the home. What's in their home? What do they read? What kind of clothes do they wear? What kind of car do they drive? What kind of house do they have? Do they rent? Do they own? Are they married? Are they single? Are they dating? Do they live international? Do they have a dog? Do they have, what do they have in their garage? Do they have kid stuff? Do they have kids? Do they have, sporting equipment, kayaking equipment, whatever? Just detail all of that information, and maybe you even interview your key prospect or your best customer to understand who these prospects should be. And then finally name that. That's what the name is, the bottom right quadrant. Name this person, summarize them. Say, Kenneth lives in, you said...
I'm in Rancho Cucamonga. At the moment.
Rancho Cucamonga. So it'd be, Kenneth is, 35 years old, lives in Rancho Cucamonga, and makes X amount of money, and studies the market, and reads these 5 publications, and is married, and has 1 child, and drives this kind of car. And you lay all that out. And then when you start marketing, you create a marketing campaign for Kenneth. You create a marketing campaign for Susie. You create a marketing campaign for, Joe. And all of these campaigns are unique and different depending on what's in their head, heart, and home. And you can attract these people by getting where they read. So I love asking the question, what publications do they read? If I find out, Kenneth, let's just ask, what publications do you typically read?
Oh, well, I'm on Drudge Report quite a bit and zerohedge.com.
Great. So Drudge. If I wanted to attract more Kenneths in my work, I know that you read Drudge, so why not create a simple marketing campaign? And I could say, okay, Kenneth, you've probably got to worry around something that you don't know. Maybe it's Bitcoin, and I'm an expert in Bitcoin. So I'm going to write an ad that says, don't invest in Bitcoin until you read these 3 security tips. And that'll link over to a blog post that'll have more content, than people can get in touch with me. Now, that's a great, effective way to reach people like you, Kenneth, because I know what you read. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's powerful, and it's universal. And when it comes to you mentioned sales, and I find it interesting because I think it was Robert Kiyosaki that said that every entrepreneur is a salesman, and we all need to understand marketing as an entrepreneur. And I would even argue people who don't even think they're entrepreneurs working at a job are still selling their talents and time. And you have to understand what makes business click. And I think these are just principles that transcend everyone here. And Casey, I want to move on here. And I read something interesting here in some of the topics that I know you focus on, and it says, what fields of work are you most confident in being disrupted by automation? And I know this is a huge deal We obviously have the economy that you talked about that is still recovering from 2008 crisis. A lot of us are still concerned if we're going to kind of go back in that direction here. But on the flip side of that, disregarding the economic situation, you have technology taking over jobs. Where do you see this headed?
Yeah, it's a great question to ask, and this is a question that I think I uniquely asked my students when I was at Tulane, and the question was, what job are you going to have, and is that job going to be around long enough for you to make financial decisions around? So, for instance, when my father graduated from Arizona State University with a degree in animal husbandry, right? So my dad grew up on a ranch. His family had a Coca-Cola bottling plant. My dad knows every cut of meat. He's an expert in that. That's what he went to school for.
Wow.
And at graduation, they said, hey, this is IBM and we've got a great job for you and we totally have a track for you to build a career out of this. A few other companies said something similar and he jumped down with IBM. So my dad worked for IBM for 26 years and it was clear and the path was perfect. It was start off at this level, work X amount of years and get up to this level, watch your pay grade increase to this, plus or minus a margin, but generally speaking, it was predictable. From that, he could move to management, from low level to mid-level management, from mid-level management to senior management, etc. And it was a clear path for him. And because of that, he had confidence, and that confidence allowed him to invest in a home, invest in cars, invest in, my mom working less and having kids and raising a family. So he was able to have confidence in the industry. And my students and people today and people who are in the workforce right now and everyone who's yet to be born, all these people are going to be growing up in a world that is highly volatile, that is highly disruptive, and it's going to be difficult to have confidence. So I think one important thing here to take away is that confidence is going to be low. People are not going to be confident. They're going to be forced to find meaning outside of work. Whereas my dad would say, I don't need meaning. The meaning of my life is to provide for my family, right? And to do this job and to be great at it. I mean, that's it's easy. It's easy to find meaning in that. It's easy to find that as being a directive in your life. And, I think people really wish for that. I think that's what we saw a lot of the coal miners say during the Trump election. Give us back these great jobs and give us back these great factory jobs because they're predictable. Well, sure. Automation and alternative energies have taken those jobs away. So we're losing confidence. So then the question is, what's going to happen? And I think we can, run down a quick little rabbit hole, which is with automation, specifically, if we look at the self-driving car, what's going to happen with that? Well, we're going to see safer transportation. We're going to see people who actually just want to get to a destination. They don't want to drive. Ask a young person, do you want to drive or do you want to be somewhere? And they'll probably say, I just want to get there. They don't care how they get there. They don't care that it's their own car. 1 in 100 or 1 in 50 people might be a car nut and they might really care about their car, but most everyone else is fine sitting in the backseat of a Toyota Corolla and getting taken by their Uber driver.
Sure.
So if it's an Uber driver or if it's a self-driving car, these millennials don't seem to care. And
it's cheap.
And it's cheap. And it's only going to get cheaper when we remove the human element from it.
Right.
So we're already seeing this with Uber. So taxi drivers had a rate that they were making. And let's kind of say it was, more or less a fixed rate. They knew what they'd make, give or take, depending on the hours that they drive. Then Uber comes in and dramatically undercuts the market, so much so that I think I'm right to say that Uber is at a loss in their business, and they're essentially paying for people to take Ubers. They're undervaluing their service so much in order to get everyone to use it. Well, we're seeing Uber drivers' rates go down dramatically. Uber, being an Uber driver, used to be a full-time job. Now it's a side hustle. It's beer money, but it's not enough money to support a family. So people are already getting squeezed there. Now we see in Pittsburgh, Uber has self-driving cars, and we're seeing that those drivers now are making even, they have the potential to make even less, and soon they're going to make nothing, because I'd rather be in a self-driving car with, with a robot that's more predictable, that's safer. And I won't need the human element. So we're going to see just all of these people start losing jobs. car insurance salespeople. If we have self-driving cars, we won't need car insurance salespeople at the same volume we need now. Right. In the same way, because the cars will be safer, our insurance premiums will go down. Now, that's an interesting one. What if it's all electric and we have more space in the trunk and we have a frunk, a front trunk?
Yeah.
If we have that, could one of them be refrigerated? If it was refrigerated and you had your own self-driving car and you went to the office every day, could it run over to the grocery store and someone load up your groceries? So what we're going to see is we're going to see more free time, and we're going to see less confidence in the work that we do. So I think, hopefully, what I'm hopeful for is that we're going to see a rise in arts, we're going to see a rise in play, we're going to see a rise in recreation, and hopefully this encourages people to do the thing that they can do to provide the most value to the world, not the thing that pays them.
Sure.
And I think that there's going to be an interesting... there's interesting trials that are going on right now with human basic income, which is essentially, Steve Jobs says, not Steve Jobs, at Microsoft, Bill Gates, he said that we should tax the robots. If the robots take over the means of production, we should tax them. And by taxing them, we can keep the government afloat so that it can pay for some of these services and things like that. And that's an interesting thing. And what if we don't tax them? And what if we do? And what if we lose all of those tax dollars? And who maintains the roads? And it becomes really interesting.
Sure.
But I think we're going to see a greater divide in the wealth gap. I think there's going to be people like Elon Musk who are doing incredible things and innovative things. And because of that, he's going to be rewarded financially. And I think there's going to be other people who are going to be your traditional 9-to-5 worker who kind of checks into work and checks out, and they kind of slog through it. Those people are going to be maybe marginalized more and more. They're going to be displaced, and I think they are in for a world of hurt.
Yeah, and it's definitely some good points there, and reasons to be ahead of the trends, and it's good that you're pointing these things out. Casey, I mean, when it comes to these trends, I just as a side note here, I just think about these cities all around the country, and I know you're city dating. And I want to talk to you after about when we're off the call here about that. But we got Los Angeles is just gridlock, New York, Austin, Texas. Not that many people there, but the infrastructure is not built well to get around easily. But can you imagine when we have maybe driverless cars that fly? How will that revolutionize these cities that are traditionally now gridlocked? I think that's in our future here, and when that happens, I mean, we're just talking about completely changing these cities that seem hopeless in terms of where they are today. And I'm looking forward to the day, and in fact, I hope I'm alive to see that, because I think it'll be a very beautiful thing.
Yeah, and actually, even at the Consumer Electronics Show this year, there was unveiled a single-person drone. So one person can sit in it, and it's like a mini helicopter, quadcopter, and a hospital group purchased a number of them, and I don't remember the exact number, but maybe a dozen or so. And the goal was to transport organs. So through flight, they can transport organs from hospital to hospital.
Wow.
And that's like a magical innovation in technology to save lives.
Yeah. No, that is really cool. Casey, I appreciate you coming on the line with me and just educating us here on just being ahead and making money and being efficient with our work. If you'd like to leave us with a little bit of inspiration or just maybe some final thoughts that you didn't get to share yet, please do.
Sure. So, the thing that I'm really passionate about here is what's coming up in the future and the play that we have. If you're a listener and you've got a child and that child is kind of confused on where they want to go, encourage them to find a natural talent or to stick to something long enough to get good. There's the whole notion of 10,000 hours to give you mastery, and starting off at an early age is great. But look at the things that people can do and the things that you're doing and the things that your kids are doing, and encourage those artistic things, encourage those things that provide value that may not have a tangible dollar value. But I think that those people are the people that are going to win. For me, I love photography, and I pick up my camera and I go out shooting often. And I'm not a great photographer, but it's a passion. And my hope is that over the course of the next, honestly, 120 years, because I aim to live to be in my 150s before I die, I want to be great at it. I really want to have an expertise in photography. And it's that level of commitment that we need to have. We're going to have human longevity here. We're going to be able to, if we write a check, we're going to be able to maybe go to the moon, go to Mars. These things aren't impossible in the next 100 years. And we also can live longer. There's a lot of anti-aging technology that's coming out. That's really fascinating. So encourage young people, understand that they're going to be low confidence because they don't have the privilege of the confidence that's given to them from a job. And above all else, just kind of check the trajectory that you're on and ask the hard questions. When I ask my Uber drivers, hey, what do you think about these self-driving cars? They're like, oh, that'll never happen. They're not safe. I mean, that's just false, right? They live in this false world and they're allowing themselves to get commoditized. Wow. So make sure that you're not putting yourself in that position. If you're a trader, look at what the technology is doing with trading. If you haven't looked into Bitcoin, absolutely look into it. I think that's phenomenally interesting, and to see how the market cap grows kind of dramatically year over year. There's just a lot of really interesting things with technology, and we have to continue to lean into it and to continue to have a beginner's mind and just not assume that we'll be able to live the life that we lived over the last 20 years or have our parents' job or our grandparents' job, because frankly, my kids are likely, there's going to be like nearly 100% chance that they're going to have a job that doesn't exist today. Wow. And that's just wild to think about.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Casey, if people want to learn more about what you do, where would they go and what would they find?
Sure. So we've got a implementation company called Tech Guys Who Get Marketing. And Tech Guys Who Get Marketing is this decentralized group. We're kind of an exponential organization in that way, and we all live kind of all over the earth, and a lot of us travel a lot, but we work to support our clients in big technology and marketing to help them overcome big technology and marketing problems. So our ideal client is someone with a 6-7 figure business, and they're looking to do something big. They have a technology infrastructure problem. They have a marketing problem. And we step in and we can solve very complex problems because we have experts in disciplines like programming, direct response design, direct response marketing, sales, project management, Facebook ads, kind of anything that's needed there. So I'd say that we are the premier custom development team at the intersection of technology and marketing. And our typical account starts at a $10,000 fee. So if anyone listening is looking to supercharge their business, get over a hurdle that marketing or technology has created, we'd love to help by ideating new ways to solve that problem and then having the opportunity potentially to solve that problem for you. So you can reach out to us at techguys.co, or you can go to techguyswhogetmarketing.com. And then finally, my personal website, if you want to follow me, my travels and posts that I have there, it's CaseyStanton.com. That's CaseyStanton.com. Casey,
again, thanks for your time and thanks for sharing your expertise with us. I mean, I feel like we got just, immeasurable value today. Being able to listen to you and, for you to be able to share your experience with us, it was really great. So thanks again for coming on the line with me.
Yeah, thank you, Kenneth. I appreciate it.